So, I wanted to get your guys' opinions on this, the rally, the Trump rally with the comedian who came
Oh,
out.
Tony Hitchcliffe?
I think so, yes, because
Oh.
there's like a lot of mixed reviews about.
Yeah, I never actually heard the clip.
Oh, great. Okay.
Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this.
Go back.
It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out.
What?
They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
Oh my god.
And there's another one.
This Puerto Rican has something to say about the island that I love.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Where my family is from,
Oh, give me a break.
You gotta see the
Puerto Rico is
context on
trash.
this show.
By everything.
we are Americans, Donald Trump.
Fuck this fake shit.
Americans.
Big
We
man.
voluntarily serve disproportionately high in the military, while you have bone spurs.
She needs to
and we
take the
vote.
broomstick handle out of
Pennsylvania
her
is home to
ass.
almost
There's
500,000
sense of
Puerto
humor.
Ricans. North Carolina, 115,000. Georgia,
Don't
100,000.
take
Arizona,
yourself so
64,000.
goddamn
Wisconsin,
fucking seriously. You're
61,000.
really not that
Michigan,
important.
43,000. Nevada, 27,000. We vote Donald Trump. Trash? And
It's
by the way,
ironic, too, because
Jennifer
they also
Lopez,
just
Ricky
called half the
Martin,
country
Bad Bunny,
garbage, too.
Luis
Like,
Fonsi,
days
and Mark
before
Anthony
this or
have over
after it? Or no, it was
345
after
million
this that they said
followers
the whole
on
garbage
Instagram.
thing.
I think you
But
only
it's
have
like
26 million.
The
Since you-
incredible thing was Trump won in Miami-Dade County, which hasn't voted. The Latinos down here haven't voted since Reagan in those kind of numbers. They've always voted blue. They've always voted Democrat.
Well, I think that
And the Latinos across the country overwhelmingly supported Trump, and not Kamala.
Yeah. But I think the term Latinos is not a good term because that's like 29 different countries. It's so many different cultures and values. You can't put them under that one big blanket. There's so many different types. Like you can't.
Yeah.
It's kinda
I'm just kind of
disingenuous.
confused why he would joke about the Puerto Ricans if they're considered Americans. It doesn't, like, I understand if you're
It's-
talking about, like,
yeah.
Venezuela or Colombia. They're not included.
Because
in,
that's
like,
what comedians do.
It's
They make
fun.
fun of everybody.
It's just weird if we're
Because I
trying
mean,
to-
if you watch the whole clip though, like his whole like 10-minute segment, he makes fun of everybody, and then they
Like
just got
Dave
really mad about the
Chappelle,
Puerto
he
Rico
roasts
one.
every group. He doesn't
Yeah.
care what race you are. You're trans, you're gay, you're lesbian, you're conservative, you're white, you're black, you're Asian. He don't give a fuck. He roasts everybody. And that's what a good comedian should do. But the media turned that into an issue, and they said, oh, this is racist.
Yeah, they took like
And
that 20.
if you look at the results, the people are sick of that shit because yelling racist is, oh, I don't want to be considered a racist. It shuts people up and it prevents conversations from happening.
Yeah.
You can't solve problems unless you can talk openly and honestly about them.
I just think it was a bad move on their part to do that right before the election.
Well, he was a comedian, in my opinion. He was just making fun. I mean, yes, he's at
He's
a
made worse
Trump
charges.
rally,
Yeah.
but it's like, I'm sure Trump didn't tell him to say that
Yeah.
and write his.
And that comedian's done MSG a lot of times too. It's done like 4 times, I think.
Because she does have a point. Like, Puerto Ricans are voting. So it's just like, do you want to lose the Puerto Rican vote or do you want to keep
But
it?
I think
At
you
the
got
end of the day, it didn't matter
contact.
because Trump dominated with all of them.
I think a big thing is that you got to
The
watch the whole
majority
10
said
minutes.
Trump. They weren't butthurt. They weren't offended because they're real people. They don't take themselves too goddamn seriously. They're just real. It's like it's a joke. Everybody's having a good time. He's roasting everybody, and that's only one clip of one group that he roasted.
Yeah.
And that's what makes comedy funny is that you make fun of things in a way that is obvious to everybody. It's kind of funny, but it's not. It's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle's is way worse. Especially his like 2003 show. That's so bad.
And who's the comedian? What was his name again?
Tony Hitchcliffe. He's a popular show called Kill Tony where he takes like amateur comedians on and they get like a minute to try and speak.
I have another one on the same topic.
Tony Hinchcliffe has come under fire after a stream of racist comments about Latinos,
Listen to
Jews,
the
and black
serious
people at Donald
music.
Trump's election rally last night.
So
There's
manipulative.
literally a floating island of garbage in the middle
This
of the
is
ocean right
propaganda.
now. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Prominent Republicans have branded his remarks
He's
as completely
sad.
classless,
This is a
racist,
dark
and a Trump
day.
campaign senior advisor said the
It's a
joke does
dark
not
day.
reflect the views of President
Oh,
Trump.
no.
The comedian has defended his set, adding that Democrats had taken the
The
joke out of
fascists are gonna
context to
take
make it seem
over.
racist.
Oh my
Shortly
God.
after
Please read his
Hinchcliffe's
thing.
appearance,
We're
Puerto
losing our
Rican musician
double.
Bad Bunny
Deposit.
backed
He actually
Paris,
has
closely
scared.
followed by Ariana Grande, Jennifer Lopez,
It's
and
coming
Ricky
up.
Martin.
See, people get emotionally anchored to believe in this shit because of the music.
pause it?
Your
Yeah.
emotions are being manipulated.
This is what his response
This is what I
was.
point out all the time when I talk about movies and TV. The music, the situations, when you watch it, the music takes on a very serious tone. Like, this is dire,
Yeah.
really bad, awful. And so, whatever you're watching, you associate emotionally with that. You get emotionally anchored to believing that bullshit. And then you see the results, how people get hypnotized, where an idiot, like you look at the Letitia James that's prosecuting Trump, she's a far leftist, she's a woke idiot. She believes whatever the TV says. So she comes home and she watches news clips and shit like this, and she really is brainwashed because of the emotional anchoring into believing that Trump is a Manchurian candidate, that Vladimir Putin is blackmailing, and we're going to lose our democracy if he gets back into office. And so that's why she'll bend and twist the law and go after Trump for things that no other reasonable prosecutor would go after him, because she's basically breaking the law to go after somebody that she was propagandized by fake news and into, thinking that he's a real threat, and she wants to be a do-gooder and a hero, and she's just a brainwashed, low IQ idiot that believed the fake fucking news. So she's kind of a victim of the fake news when you look at it from that perspective. But when you look at millions of people working 9-to-5 jobs, they come home, they got maybe 30 minutes to catch the evening news or watch some videos or whatever, and they see shit like this, and they're already kind of predisposed to believe anything that comes from people on the left, and so they literally get hypnotized and brainwashed by watching stuff like this because of the over-dramatization and the emotions that are elicited because of the music. And so you believe it, you see it. So and you're just kind of going along in your world, and you see this, you're like, you have an emotional reaction to it because the music hooked you on that. People do more to avoid pain than they do to gain pleasure, and this is emotional anchoring. It's very manipulative.
Did you read it, Chunky?
I do want me to read it like a lot. So this is his response to it. Tony says, these people have no sense of humor. Wild that a vice president candidate would take time out of his busy schedule to analyze this out of context to make it seem racist. I love Puerto Rico and vacation there. I made fun of everyone. Watched the whole set. I am a comedian, Tim. Might be time to change your tampon.
Nice. It's just the politically correct people are ones that get the most butthurt. But like I said, that's the kind of stuff that influences people's opinion. And then they sit and they watch something on the news and they just automatically identify it because now they're hypnotized and programmed to, when anything comes along in the same vein, they snap right into line. They believe it wholeheartedly without questioning it.
A lot of people are saying this comment right here. His jokes were approved before he went on stage, basically saying like a comedian can't go on air without approval of like someone on his team, so people are upset that Trump would approve of those kind of jokes.
I mean,
I at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. Who cares? I really don't care. But that's such an unimportant thing. People, the flower of Russian and Ukrainian youth is getting slaughtered right now. They are mass murdering each other with drones and bombs and missiles, and people are watching shit like this and getting upset. It's like, no matter where you're at, it's like somebody's always got it way worse, and there's more important things to worry about. But that's a media-induced hoax. That's the whole purpose of that is to try to turn voters against Donald Trump and prevent him from getting elected. And how many people that had an effect on? Well, people that were predisposed to believe that shit, like the View lady, that just further reinforces her brainwashing. And she continues to act that way, very overly emotional. Just like when people in public see somebody wearing a Trump supporting hat, "Make America Great Again," and they freak out and yell at him and cuss him out. They think it's appropriate because people on TV do that.
Yeah.
So they think that that's normal behavior and how you should react. I mean, and you take that to the extreme, that's how you get the assassination attempt with the guy shooting Trump, because that kid believed the fucking news. He believed shit like that. It was manipulating his emotions. And he really believed he's going to be a hero and take out the evil fascists before, and save democracy, because that's what the media hypnotized him, because he was predisposed to believe that.
Okay, so and then this next one, still on the same topic. Trump denies knowing the comedian and his jokes, and people are calling him a liar because you have to, like I said, approve those jokes before it
But
goes
he
on.
I don't
probably
think he
didn't know about
himself
it.
personally.
He doesn't have
He didn't read
time.
that.
He doesn't
He
read
doesn't
any
have
of that.
time
He
for that
comes, he
shit.
reads his speech, and he's one of the guests, because you had multiple speakers.
One of the organizers.
Somebody said there was a comedian that joked about Puerto Rico or something, and I have no idea who it was. Never saw him, never heard of him, and don't want to hear of him. But I have no idea. They put a comedian in, which everybody does. You throw comedians in. You don't vet them and go crazy. It's nobody's fault. But somebody said some bad things. Now, what they've done is taken somebody that has nothing to do with the party, has nothing to do with us, said something, and they try and make a big deal. But I don't know who it is. I don't even know who put him in. Somebody said there was a
Let's see the comments for that.
Yeah, he's not managing that kind of shit on that level, going, "Oh, that joke's really going to land." But, the media tells everybody he's a racist and he hates Latinos and black people and everything else. People that are predisposed to believe that see that and go, "Oh, I knew it. There's evidence that he's a racist."
If he couldn't control who's speaking at his rallies, how can we expect for him to control his entire administration?
Yeah, every politician is in the same boat. Harris, she don't know. She ain't reading the jokes.
She definitely doesn't know.
Barack Obama, he didn't fucking know what the comedians were going to tell at his events.
Also,
They don't get into this shit like that. If you ever done any event planning, it's like they're just like one of the speakers. You have an agenda, and a program basically. It's just like in the old days you get the TV guy that tells you what comes on when. That's how it's arranged for an event like that. They had, I don't know, 30, 40 different speakers over many hours. Trump shows up, gives his speech, says hello to everybody, and then he leaves. Same thing with the comedians and everybody else. Some of them stick around, but people like that, they fly in. It's what's called a keynote speech. So he's basically flying in and doing a keynote speech. That's what politicians do. Barack Obama flies, he does his keynote speech, the stage is all set up, he's just one of the speakers, and then he flies in the next thing. He's not fucking reviewing jokes. He don't have time to do that shit. It's a staffer, and I don't think the comedian turned in a list of jokes or his whole bit that he was going to do. The media made a big deal out of it.
And also, it's just jokes.
Because they were trying to influence people in a negative way. It's propaganda.
That's also why comedy seems to be like dying, as of late the last couple of years, is because you can't. Yeah,
You can't say
you can't
anything.
say anything.
You're not
You're
allowed
not
to
the
say
joke.
anything.
Everyone gets so offended over everything.
Like I was watching Sex in the City yesterday.
Oh, God. You and the Sex in the City.
And
So you're officially addicted now.
yeah, it's a really good show. And one of the ladies was fighting with a black lady, and the black lady said something about like, "Get your white cracker self out of here. This is a black person's party." And then she was just like, "I don't care about you and your black ass. I'm staying I'm just like, this would have never got approved like today's age.
Yeah.
It would be canceled, but it's just funny.
I mean, it's crazy. You want to know why the movies suck nowadays? Look at the requirements for the Academy Awards to be eligible to win an Academy Award. Your cast needs to be 30% of underrepresented groups, which is like disabilities, LGBTQ, black, women, Indians, whatever, and then also two of your four creative directors, like your lead of photography, your two of your four creative directors need to also be some underrepresented group. No, seriously, this is on the Academy Awards eligibility website. And that's why every movie has to comply to that, because they want to win these awards, they want to go for these things, so they all have to fall in line. Say if you're making like an 1800s historical piece on England, you gotta have
a gay
30. You gotta have gays. You gotta have disabled people. You gotta have black people of color. No, I'm serious. Like
there weren't any disabled people back then.
Yeah, they all died. They gotta let them all die pretty early.
Well, in the old days, like the Vikings would just wrap the baby up and take it out and leave it by the stream, and it would die of exposure, or an animal would come along and eat it.
I was watching something, or saw it on Instagram, where there was a controversial thing saying that Friends, why wasn't there any black people in Friends? But it's like, I know a lot of black people who only hang out with black people, or white people that only hang out with white people. I mean, it sounds stupid. It's just a group of friends that happens. They just don't have a black friend.
Fun fact, I don't have a black friend. I don't have a black girlfriend. I have a black guy friend, but no black girlfriends. It's insane. I always think about it. I'm like looking around, I'm just like, I have no black.
Yeah, I guess you need more diversity and inclusion in your peer group.
I have Asians, Hispanic, white,
crackers,
brown as in like Indian, like that, but no like black.
Yeah, when you break it down like that, it sounds like you're collecting fucking Pokemon. You're breaking people down to their colors and race. Oh, I'm only friends with you because you're black. Like, I'm not for the content of people's characters.
I'm
just
not
like
racist. I have a black.
I gotta collect them all. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like
it just sounds very stupid.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
it's like I'm so anti-racist. I'm pointing out everyone's race and seeing race in everything. It's
Or like the black shows, you don't see a white person there, but you don't see us complaining. We don't.
Yeah,
see,
like the extra show called Blackish.
The Mosby show or something.
Do you consider yourself white or a person of color?
I think a person of color.
I
always
did you
just
look
said
at your
us.
skin?
You said us a second ago when she was talking about white people.
Oh well, when I sign it, actually white, black, African. They never have like Latino or anything like that. It's not considered.
You don't put
they have
Hispanic.
like an ethnic group.
That's
Even
for
if it's
ethnic,
Hispanic.
yeah. But when it says race?
They don't have Hispanic on there?
No, it's ethnicity.
That's an ethnic.
It's like the same thing as Jewish.
So as being a Latino, did that comedian offend you? Did you get upset? Did you stay up late worrying about that?
No, because I'm not Puerto Rican. So.
But you're a Latino or a Latinx.
Yeah.
Like, is that how you say it?
You get shy.
Latinx, Latinx.
They hate Latinx.
What does
Well,
that
you're
mean?
Venezuelan, so.
No, they hate Latinx. They think it's derogatory.
Is it Latinx
It's some
or
like
Latinx?
bullshit that they try to. Oh, we're not Latins. We're Latinx now because it's gender inclusive. It's gender inclusive. All genders. Saying Latins is some bullshit woke
So
thing.
like Latinos,
A bunch of ugly
Latinas.
white fucking.
Stupid.
A bunch of ugly people were trying to.
Just ugly people.
Just ugly people, inside, outside, ugly. We're trying to make, and Latin people fucking hate being called Latinx. They think, like, they'll get more offended getting called Latinx than, like, a traditional racial slur for whatever country they're from. Because Latins are very diverse. It's like 29, 30 different countries.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Latin.
I hadn't even.
No, Latinx is a thing, and it's, people get pissed on the air.
People on the left use it. The Democrats use it. They refer to their constituencies. And Latinx.
That's,
or Latinx.
it's just stupid.
It's really.
It's just stupid.
Okay.
Especially Spanish is such a gendered language, where the words have
They have
genders.
Yeah,
They
there's
do.
not like saying
There's feminine and
Yeah.
masculine.
So they don't like that, so that's why they're trying to change it to Latinx to.
They're
Because
just,
they-
So
gotta
what
go
would it
gender.
be then in Spanish?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
It's retarded. They don't understand physically at a fundamental level. They don't understand how language works, and they're just trying to rewrite language in their own way to make
Yeah.
themselves feel superior and good about themselves. Oh, we fixed all the world's problems. We changed the language. They just want like a gender neutral
Like
one.
it.
Yeah,
Zir.
a gender neutral. Yeah, they want a gender
Zir.
neutral one. I'm serious.
Oh, that was that thing. Yeah.
You just confuse the people. You confuse the language. It's attack.
Oh, that clip. Yeah, there was. It's like nobody's gonna. I don't give a shit if you're a Mr. or Mrs. or whatever. I'm. You're lucky if I remember your first name. I don't give a fuck about your last name or your middle name or your pronouns
Yeah.
or surname. I don't fucking care. I got better things to worry about. More important things to worry about, I should say.
Yeah, why can't you just, instead of somebody getting mad at somebody for what you refer yourself as, why just say your name and that's what I'm going to call you by?
And especially
That's
too,
it.
especially when this happens, it happens with just complete strangers that you're not even going to see these people again. They get so offended. Oh, did
Yeah.
you just misgender me? And like, I don't even know who you are. Like, just tell me your name. I don't give a shit what you're like. Just tell me your name.
So, I mean, I don't understand all the things that everything comes up every single day. There's something new, and I can't keep up with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so just tell me your name. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all I
that's
need
it.
to know.
That's all-
I don't need to know
exactly.
your business about how you
Yeah, I don't need to know who you fuck. I don't care.
or what you do, what's underneath your clothes.
Yeah.
Nothing of that. Just what's your name? That's it.
Like,
It
I
can be
don't have
cool,
to
friends,
live by
whatever.
your rules, you know, like your new.
They try and impose it on everybody. And that's the problem when they're trying to get like hate speech legalized. It's like, who defines what hate speech is?
Yeah.
Or
They
misinformation.
got thousands of people, citizens in the UK that are in jail because of their Facebook posts.
Yeah, because they wanted they're like, hey, I think all our daughters and women are getting raped here, and we're getting none of the benefits.
the
We're getting
grooming
screwed over by
gangs,
we're getting screwed over by the government. They're doing mass stabbing. People are dying,
And you
this
get
is
locked
really
up for
bad. You
that.
get locked up for pointing out, oh, our
It's
society's
upsetting
not
to
functioning.
the ruling class.
That our society's being taken over.
Yeah.
You get thrown in jail for pointing out, oh yeah.
And the Islamists openly say they're taking over. We're
Yeah.
outbreeding all of you. We're having 5 or 6 kids, and you guys are like 1.2. So another 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
it's not going to matter because we're going to be in the majority, and then we're going to vote Sharia law in, and this country's going to be ours. They say it, and they mock people to their
Yeah.
face in Europe. Because that's what they're being taught in their mosques, because these radical preachers are going around. And you got the guys, the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates going, man, there's going to be more terrorists coming out of Europe than the Middle East because of political correctness. It's like, we don't allow these kind of people in our mosques in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. It's like, we tell them to stop, but they don't stop. We'll put them in jail. The Saudis, they don't fuck around. They'll cut your head off. You're not gonna go in the mosque there and preach the jihad. They'll off with the head.
Yeah.
But in Europe or in the United States, all the mosques all up and down the coast of the state of Florida.
Yeah.
You got these jihadist preachers that go through Australia, Europe, UK, all over the United States. They're like traveling and they're preaching the jihad.
Yeah.
Same ideology as ISIS and Hamas. You do that enough, there's going to be some low IQ moron in the congregation that's going to go, yeah, that's a good idea. Then they strap a bomb on or run people over or shoot people or whatever, or join ISIS or Boko Haram or Al Qaeda or some other terrorist group because they believe that. Or they do, like the guy that did the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando at the gay bar up there. He was going to a mosque in Port St. Lucie, and those radical jihadist preachers were coming through there, and he got radicalized by one of those dickheads. And that killed 50-something of our citizens, of our countrymen. Because we allow that shit. It's like, they won't tolerate that shit in Saudi Arabia. They'll cut your fucking head off.
It's crazy they don't tolerate
United Arab
that.
Emirates, they're like, our bar for terrorism is really low. We don't. You guys are stupid to let these idiots preach in your mosque because it's like they're radicalizing millions of Muslims in Europe. And like you look at the British military, more Muslims joined ISIS than the British military.
That's insane. That's mind-boggling to think of. It's crazy too because like
they left the UK to go join the ISIS military instead. So that shows you that their loyalty is to the caliphate and not to the crown, not to the United Kingdom.
I mean, when I was in London, there was literally whole areas where everything was in Arabic and stuff. There's no English.
Yeah.
No
Well,
signs.
what happens is a lot of them move in, and then they intimidate the local population, and people get uncomfortable and don't feel welcome in their own city, and they sell their house, and they move.
Yeah.
It's kind of like gentrification. They just
is.
take over, and then they have Sharia patrols, and the UK government doesn't want to offend anybody. So they basically allow them to have a soft implementation of Sharia law in the areas where they're the majority. It's like they carve out their own cities It's like another country in the middle, in different places, the UK, and that's happening all over Europe.
Yeah.
Because you got a bunch of fucking pussies in government that, I don't want to offend anybody. And so nobody can talk about the problem. They literally put you in jail. Tommy Robinson's in fucking jail right now. I think they sentenced him to 18 months for pointing this out, doing a documentary on it.
They're actually they had to let a bunch of murderers and rapists out because they didn't have enough room in their jails.
Yeah.
So they could put the people complaining about the government saying,
What?
yeah, they literally released a bunch of rapists and murderers
It's
early.
insane.
Because people were complaining about how many rapes and murders there are. So they put the people complaining about and telling people there's a lot of rapes and murders into jail. And let
The
more rapes
fact
and
that
murders
it's
out.
all the migrants and people from the Middle East that they've let in and unvetted them, and the worst criminals and rapists, and like when you look at
That probably they just grew up in a
Al
different
Qaeda
culture.
in Iraq during the Iraq War, about 48 hours before the invasion, before the Americans rolled across the border in 2003, Saddam Hussein opened all the jails, and he pardoned everybody: pedophiles, rapists, child molesters, mass murderers, serial killers, the worst fucking criminals and gangsters you can think of were all pardoned. And the only people he didn't let out of jail were people that are accused of being spies for Israel or the United States. The worst people in society were released amongst the population. So you think about a country like ours or anywhere, and you release the worst fucking criminals that should never, that are supposed to be locked up for life, into society. And then after the invasion happened, and then when the insurgency started, after Bremer basically told all of the Baathists that they couldn't work in government. So the Baath Party was Saddam Hussein's party, who ran Iraq. And if you wanted to be a teacher, you had to join the Baath Party. If you wanted to be in the military or whatever, you had to join the Baath Party. If you wanted to, climb the corporate ladder, you had to join the Baath Party. And so Bremer didn't understand it, who was a guy that Bush put in charge of the war, and he just went, because he didn't really know what the fuck he was doing, he just said, all right, they're all fired. And like the day before, after we rolled through and took Baghdad, I think it was like 72 hours, the chief of the Iraqi police the military was like, well, we just want to get Saddam and the guys that run the country. We're not here to tell you how to run your country. And the guy who's chief of police is like, I could have 10,000 police officers tomorrow morning to reestablish law and order in the city. And then Bremer goes, without even talking to him, if you belong to the Baath Party, you can't work in government. So that's like the majority of the police. And what they do, they joined the insurgents.
Yeah.
That was the biggest fuck up. And then, where do you think all the pedophiles and the worst people, what groups they joined? They all joined Al Qaeda. Because under their version of Sharia law, you could rape, you could pillage, you could murder, you could keep people as slaves, you could chop them up, you could do whatever you wanted to them. They were literally cattle to you. And that, just the horrible things they did was, that was a big part of the insurgency. Because those people all went into that. And, that's what you got going on in Europe. You got these jihadists going into the prisons in Europe and radicalizing the inmates, the worst people. So they come out and they're jihadists and Islamists. And, if you notice that when ISIS was real big, you had tens of thousands of Europeans going to join the caliphate. And they literally believed they were going to take over.
Yeah.
They were going to take over whole Europe and conquer the world. They were going to plant the flag of the caliphate and Islam globally. And the Hamas tunnels and the buildings where the Israelis have gone into, and you can see the videos and the pictures of this, they have the pictures on the walls. We will conquer Rome, with a jihadist flag in Rome, and they have it framed in all their fucking houses. And because that's what they've been taught. Move to these countries in the West, outbreed the native population, run for office, and eventually when you have majority, then you can vote for Sharia law. And then, the existing government is dissolved. Now you're a dominant Muslim jihad and ISIS type of ideology in the whole of Europe.
The tyranny of the majority that way then too.
There you go. And then, you get three choices. You can either convert to their version of Islam, you can live as a dhimmi, a second-class citizen, and then you got to pay a jizya tax, and they'll protect you and keep you safe. But if you don't want to convert and you don't want to pay the jizya class and live as a second-class citizen, then you still got to wear the burqa or the hijab or whatever they want and abide by their rules in society. And if you don't agree to the first two, then we fight you until we kill you. Those are your choices.
Yeah, it's just kind of retarded when you think about.
It's the
their philosophy,
jihadist mind virus, the jihadi mind virus.
Well, it's also the
we got the woke mind virus,
Yeah.
and we got the jihadist mind virus.
And the woke mind virus was like, oh, it's just like, oh, they're good people, you know, like it's the stupid soil thing
where
where
they
think,
project their values
Yeah.
and they just assume, oh, these Palestinians are victims, and none of them
oh,
know
because
the
they're
history.
living here now, then they'll become
Yeah.
like us, you
No,
know.
it doesn't happen.
It's like
They're not
grew
there
up in
to
this
assimilate. They
fundamentally
say that.
different culture where women are objects, and they think, oh, just because they're on new soil and a new continent, they're totally going to change.
Well,
They
the
become good
Taliban
people
say
now.
women that are basically cattle.
Yeah,
They're for men to use as they please.
it's insane. They think, oh, just because they
They're
move
property.
they move locations, they're going to change everything about their lives. They're going to assimilate in our culture. Fundamentally, from the basis point of that, it's plain retarded. I don't know how any of this passed.
Well, one thing I do know and I do believe, and even Elon Musk has said this in a tweet the other day, the hammer of justice is coming. And Trump negotiated a settlement with the Taliban, and then after Trump was out of office, the Taliban broke that and they murdered our fucking allies by the thousands. So I believe and I predict that there's going to be an increasing abundance of Ginsu bombs in Afghanistan over the next few years.
Do you think so? They're going to go back a little bit?
Not going back.
Just bombs?
It's like everybody that signed, every member of the Taliban that signed that agreement with Trump, that peace agreement, and then fucking broke it, which is called Takia, which is in Mastering Yourself, by the way. I discussed that. Means you can lie to your enemy when you're at a disadvantage, even though, in other words, you make a peace agreement that you have no intention of honoring.
Yeah.
Because eventually, when you're strong enough, then you're going to start fighting them again. It's called Takia. And so that's what the Taliban did. They're like, hey, Trump's gone, fuck him.
Yeah.
And they just, they violated the agreement they made with him. They didn't honor it, and Biden was too out of it and incompetent. And the rest of the people running his administration didn't give a fuck. They pulled the plug. They pulled the air support for our allies. They pulled their communications.
Not even letting them
And they
know.
abandoned them. And they
Yeah.
got slaughtered by thousands, and their families got fucking slaughtered. And bad things were done, and a lot of people died, and the Taliban didn't honor their agreement. So a lot of them are dead men walking. Ginsu bombs for all of those fuckers. Because Trump told him when he was negotiating the peace, he's like, he basically sent him a picture that was like his family compound. This is the leader of the Taliban.
Oh, yeah, he sent him his picture.
He sent him a picture of him and his family compound, I don't know, through email or whatever. And he's like, why did you send me a satellite picture of my house? Trump's like, why do you think I'd sent you that? I know where you are.
That's scary.
And if you don't honor this agreement that I have with you, what do you think's going to happen to you and your whole family? Do you understand what I'm telling you?
That's terrifying.
And he says, yes, Mr. President. And then when Trump's out of office, that cocksucker went back on it. So at some point, I see a Ginsu bomb in his fucking future.
That's a fun name, Ginsu bomb.
Do you know what those are?
It's like where they do all the shrapnel and it just shreds everything. It's not explosive.
So the Ginsu bomb is, it's a bomb that's launched at, I can't remember the guidance system, but it doesn't have an explosive warhead on it. And so it's meant to take out people individually. It doesn't matter where they are. And some of them have, or they have other ones that are just like concrete. And so they have fins, and so they fly it into it, if a car is driving. The Israelis use it a lot. We've been using them for years. And the kinetic energy of this heavy bomb, that's basically a concrete bomb with fins that's guided into its target. It can follow along. It goes through a car, and the car just basically goes into the ground.
Ah.
It's like punching it down from the top. And so everybody inside just gets splatted and put into the ground. And the Ginsu bomb is similar, but it's metal. It doesn't have an explosive warhead. And so when it's on its way down, a bunch of knives, fins open up basically. And And so when it goes into a car, it's aimed at the driver or whatever, or it goes in the middle. And it just fucking, because it's got a bunch of blades all around. So as it goes through the car, it chops everybody up like bread. It slices and dices everybody in the car.
There has to be an example online.
It's a slap.
Oh,
job.
yeah, there's a bunch of pictures. You could see it.
Oh,
You see forum. The Israelis are using them all the time, taking out Hezbollah and Hamas leaders.
Sometimes called the Flying Jinsu, the missile's full name is the AGM-114R9X Hellfire, or just the R9X. It's a version of the U.S.'s widely used Hellfire missile that, instead of explosives, uses 6 blades to minimize collateral damage. Remnants from previous strikes we've seen where the weapon is believed to have been used match up with the images that we saw quickly appear on social media after the Baghdad strike. A circular section with protruding metal struts, which are believed to serve as the weapon's blades. Video from social media shows the targeted vehicle engulfed in flames, which typically isn't a sign of the R9X being used as it doesn't have explosives in it. But video showing the car after the fire was put out shows it with a caved-in top, not unlike what we've seen with past R9X strikes on vehicles. Despite its gruesome methods, utilizing blades isn't exactly a clean kill. The R9X does cut down on collateral damage due to its non-explosive nature. Still, some human rights experts question whether such strikes are even legal.
And fighters, we used them in Iraq, Afghanistan. We took out Zawahiri, Al-Qaeda's number 2, bin Laden's guy. That's the other thing, after the Taliban took over Kabul, the guy that was Osama bin Laden's second in command, Zawahiri was his name, he was an Egyptian. He moved to a nice, really sweet, cherry loft or condo in Kabul that they probably stole from somebody. The Taliban gave him this. And so one of his new favorite pastimes, because now, the Taliban had reconquered Afghanistan and they all felt safe and everything's great. So he would like to come out and stand on his balcony and overlook the city. And then a Ginsu bomb came for him because we watched him over and over. Just like we watched bin Laden, he would just make circles in his compound. They could tell it was a very tall guy. And they were, like 70, 80% sure it was bin Laden. And then, Rob O'Neill and the rest of his SEAL Team 6 teammates went in there and, shot him in the face 3 times, split his head open.
And now he has a whole harem of twink boys.
It's a what?
He has a whole harem of liberal twink boys.
Twink boys.
Yeah. Robert O'Neill does. There's like 5 of them.
So Zawahiri actually got killed when Biden was in office. And so that was, it was a good move on his part, because we've been looking for that guy since September 11th. And so they all thought they were safe. And so we know where all the Taliban guys are because they're all living out in the open. And, the way it should happen is, we watch all those guys. We've got maybe 20, 30, 40 of them, however many it was. We know where they all are. And when we know where all of them are, we just unleash a bunch of different Ginsu bombs or whatever on these dudes. And it's like, well, you broke the agreement. So maybe the next guys that take your place will actually honor our agreement and turn over anybody else that's been left behind. And honor the original agreement that we had with you. Because if not, you'll probably be dodging some Ginsu bombs as well. That's what peace through strength
power.
means.
Can you think about it? If, from 1,000, 2,000 years ago,
What are they
you just
gonna do?
strike an enemy down
What
from
are you
the
gonna
air.
do?
Dude, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna
It's
do?
like a god power they have.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
Just strike them out of the air.
Delete anybody you want.